Hey, do it now! And welcome back this morning. I'm your host, Lance Roberts, 647 on your drive into work. The other day on the show, we were talking about Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. Of course, they're proposing plans to forgive student loan debt. Bernie Sanders goes a step further. He also wants to make all public colleges free. And we talked about the issue with that in terms of really twofold. One is that if you make college education free, it has the same value as something that is free. The second thing is, of course, is that if we're going to forgive this generation, let's say that we pick every millennial, that has student loan debt, 25 years and under. I'm just picking an age bracket, 30 and under, 50 and under, everybody in America that has student loan debt right now. Let's just forgive it all. Right? Everybody that currently has student loan debt today, forgiven. You don't owe anything. Great. Now you've got to end the student loan program, because what are you going to do about the next group of people that take out student loans? Is this now going to become a new thing, right? It's just you take out a student loan and then we forgive it, right? So if you're going to do that, then why have student loans to begin with? It's just kind of ridiculous. Just, write people a check from the government, say go to college. Of course, the other issue is, of course, you're not holding colleges accountable for soaring tuition costs. The reason that tuitions soared to begin with was when that started. There's a direct link to the point in time where the government took over student loans, and colleges go, oh, great, the government's going to give out student loans. That means everybody can get a student loan. I'm going to raise my tuition. And every year, tuitions went up, student loan debt went up more student loan debt went up, the more tuitions went up. There's a direct link. So just forgiving the debt, colleges are going to go, great, now students can take out a loan and it gets forgiven. We can really jack up student tuition rates, right? So college prices are going to go through the roof if this kind of thing passes. But here's the other irony of all this. Bernie Sanders comes out and says, my plan is to forgive student loan debt for all college students, and it's only going to cost $2.2 trillion. Okay. What's my return on investment? So we're going to spend $2.2 trillion to forgive Americans across this country all their student loan debt, $2.2 trillion. And as Bernie Sanders puts it, it's not fair that these students went to college and are now strapped in a lifetime of student loan debt. Okay, first of all, it's a little bit exaggerating. I know a bunch of people that had student loan debts. They paid them off within 5 to 10 years. They're debt-free, right? It's not a lifetime of student loan debt to pay off 40, 50 grand, 70 grand, whatever the number is. And hopefully that if you've got 150 grand in college debt, hopefully you got a medical degree or something where you're going to get a much higher salary to make that debt payable sooner rather than later. Okay, but that's another story. But what is going to be my return on investment? We're going to spend $2.2 trillion to pay off all this student loan debt. And why would we do that, right? We're not just doing this out of the graciousness of our heart. We're doing it because supposedly our economy is being held back because of all the student loan debt. Millennials can't move off their parents' couch, and they can't buy a home because of the student loan debt. The millennials can't get a job because of the student loan debt, because they can't get a high enough paying job, so they'd rather not have a job at all. Or there's a myriad of excuses how this student loan debt is crippling the economic growth of this country. Okay, great. I'm with you. Let's go with it. Let's spend $2.2 trillion to solve this problem. What's our return on investment? Bernie Sanders estimates that by paying $2.2 trillion, his office estimates the proposal will generate an economic boost of $1 trillion over 10 years. Brent's got a funny look on your face.
Well, I know what his rationale is, but it's caca.
Well, if you're going to spend $2.2 to get back $1,
it's cray-cray.
Exactly
it's
the point.
Bernie math.
It's Bernie math. Exactly right. You're going to get back less than 50 cents on the dollar for every dollar you're going to spend. That is not a good investment.
What could possibly go wrong?
Right. You might as well just write a check. Look, do this. Take $1 trillion, right? Just divide it up or across the country. Just take $1 trillion, send everybody a check. Everybody gets a check. It's like Oprah Winfrey. You get a check and you get a check. Everybody gets a check. Look under your seat, folks. There's a check. Send everybody a check in the country for $1 trillion. And guess what's going to happen with $1 trillion? It's going to get spent in the economy, and you're going to have an immediate boost in the economy of $1 trillion. Not over 10 years. Immediate. People will go out and spend the money. Why? Because they're not going to save it. Because people don't save money. They spend it. They live paycheck to paycheck. You send $1 trillion across this country. Everybody gets a check. Divide it up, 330 million Americans, that's every man, woman, and child, 190 million households. So divide $1 trillion by 190 million. There you go. It's a good chunk of change. That's going to go right back into the economy. If you want an economic boost of $1 trillion, much better way to spend $1 trillion, and you're getting more for it than $2.2 trillion paying off student loan debt. And guess what? You send all these people, 190 million households, $1 trillion, right? They're going to pay off their student loan debt with it. Right? And you can even make that a requirement. Send $1 trillion. Your requirement is you can't spend on anything. All you can do with it is pay off debt. Okay? Or what you do is you write a check to your credit card company, your student loan company, says paid in full, remit to government in the memo line. And the money sent directly for you. I mean, there's a million ways to do this where you could ensure the money got to the right places. But hey, you know what? Let's take $1 trillion of household debt off the bottom line, paying off a house, paying off a credit card, paying off student loans, paying off an auto loan, whatever. That's going to free up more cash flow in the economy. That's going to give you more of an economic boost than spending $2.2 trillion forgiving student loan debt one time, and you're going to have to figure out how to do it every time after this. But the second thing is that you're also going to get back much more than 50 cents, less than 50 cents on the dollar under Bernie Sanders' proposal, right? So the point here is that there's much better way. Look, the bottom line is that we have an economy that's driven by debt. And, you know, despite the fact that the Fed's cutting rates, despite the fact that the markets are sitting at all-time highs, you haven't solved the credit problem. And we are currently carrying more credit debt, period, whether it's corporate debt, personal household debt, margin debt, et cetera, than just about at any other point in history. And the risk is that at some point you're going to have another credit-related event. And people are financially unprepared for it. There's a lot of these articles I find very, almost humorous right now. Here's some things you don't see coming out of a recession, right? You don't see articles. First of all, you don't see IPOs like Beyond Meat and Slack and others that are coming out, companies that don't make money. They have no real business model to make money long term. And these are what you see at peaks of markets, right? Here's something else you don't see at market peaks. Coming out of a recession, you don't see articles about retiring early. You don't see articles about, how to live on a yacht and you don't see commercials for E-Trade talking about how this guy didn't graduate college, but look at him now. Those are what you see at market peaks. There's this whole series, this whole movement right now called the FIRE movement. It's financial independence, retire early, talking about how people can just retire in their 30s. In fact, there's the one guy that writes, kind of leading the movement right now, is a guy. He's 34. He retired 7 years ago. 7 years ago. Now, where are we in this bull market cycle? Well, 10 years into a bull market cycle. Right? He's 34 years old. Do the math. Taking back 10 years. He's 24. 10 years ago, when we're in the financial crisis, maybe in college, maybe just graduated college, no real assets to speak of during the last financial crisis. So retires at 34. Good job for him. But the point now is that what happens when the next financial crisis comes? There's a bunch of people running around this FIRE movement going, hey, I've got $250,000. I'm going to retire. Here's what happens. You have a financial crisis. You're going to have to go back to work, but now you've been out of the workforce, so now you've lost a skill set. Employers, particularly during a recession, don't hire people that have been out of the workforce. They want people that basically, and you saw this during the last financial crisis, is that employers would only hire people that currently had a job. Why? Because if you were good enough to keep during a recession, you're the guy I want. I don't want to hire the guy that got fired. He got fired for a reason. I want the guy that kept his job because they're the ones you want to hire. So now you're out of the workforce. You're now losing skill sets relative to the job market. You're banking on what little bit of money to generate 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% a year, which the market's been cranking out over the last decade. That's not normal. And so when this thing comes to a head, you're going to see a lot of people that have joined into this program, this FIRE program, immediately realize the fallacy of their mistake or the fault of or the mistake that they've made, because that's not how these things work. And not how this, but these are the type of movements. These are the type of things that you see coming out at stock market peaks of cycles, right? When you get very long into an economic expansion, very long into a bull market as we are now, these are the type of things that come around. People believe that this is the way it's always going to be, and this is the way it's always going to happen. And life has a really nasty way of screwing things up. You may retire early. You may retire in your 40s, right? And you're out and you're living life large, and then things happen, right? Cancer. Don't wish that on anybody, but it happens, right? Personal catastrophe of some sort. Things happen in life. And, now you've put yourself into a situation to where you don't have access to Social Security as a means of income because you retired early, right? So you can't get to Social Security yet. You can't get to your retirement plans yet because those are in tax-deferred plans you can't get to until after 59 and a half. All this becomes problematic very quickly. So, this is, but again, and great. If you retired early, man, congratulations. I would love to be retired and sitting on the beach, but, I have a wife and I've got 4 kids and I've got college and I've got crap I got to pay for. So can't retire now. But working that direction, if you retire early, great. My point is that these are the type of things that you only see very late in bull market cycles. And these are the type of attitudes that come out very late in bull market cycles. You also get into an environment where nobody thinks the market can ever go down again. That's the risk. Thanks for watching today. We'll be back tomorrow morning for the Hump Day edition of the Lance Roberts Show right here at realinvestmentadvice.com. Be sure to get our podcast today at noon. Simply go by our website, realinvestmentadvice.com, click on our YouTube channel, subscribe. We'll email you this afternoon as soon as we release the interview with Kevin Lennox at noon today. Also, you can get all of our podcasts, all of our blog posts, newsletter, more. It's all at the website, realinvestmentadvice.com. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. The next edition of the Lance Roberts Show right here at realinvestmentadvice.com.
All the things I could do if I had a little money. It's a rich man's world. It's a rich man's world.